What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News with 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez. You can follow me on Twitter at Zach Hernan. I'm joined by my good friend Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at Ataxis, ATAX1S.
All right, let's get right into it. Over the weekend, the 49ers announced that Joe Staley would be retiring due to health concerns. That led them to trade for Trent Williams, as we discussed in our previous video. How do you think Joe Staley's legacy will look like? In 5 to 10 years, looking back.
He will be the most loved Joe in 49ers history, except for Joe Montana.
Okay.
I think no, second only to Joe Montana. I mean, listen, Joe Staley is a 49ers legend. I mean, he has been the anchor for this team since he was drafted. You know, he's a locker room leader. He's an affable guy. He was always quotable to the media, and that man played his tail off every single week and left everything that he had out on the football field. He's an easy Hall of Famer, and he should be up in the 49ers Ring of Fame at any given time. They should retire his number, everything. I mean, Joe Staley, 49ers legend, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. When the Mount Rushmore of the 49ers is all said and done, he will be up there. He's a fan favorite. He's a guy who, like you said, came in every day, worked his tail off, did whatever it took to become successful. And I don't know if you saw George Kittles' kind of goodbye message to him. Did you catch that?
I haven't watched it yet. So when he retired, he did the whole statement, right? And he said that how selfish it would be if he decided to play for another year, and that he wanted his daughters to know that he always chose them. That kind of like caught me in the feels. And it's, 2020 has been hard enough already, with the loss of Kobe Bryant and all this stuff going on. And it was just like, I need to take a step back, let my emotions process before I catch any of these videos, because I'm not trying to be crying all weekend. You know what I mean? So I haven't caught it yet, but I heard that it was another tearjerker.
Yeah, no, I watched it, and I couldn't even get through it without the tears coming down. And I'm not really an emotional guy, but just knowing this is my team, it's my favorite team. I've followed them my whole life, and seeing a guy like Joe Staley, our own Scott Gielan kind of said it best. He's kind of the for me, for people my age, he's the first kind of generational talent that they were able to experience on the 49ers. I wasn't really able to watch Joe Montana, Steve Young. Kind of the closest to that was, Patrick Willis or guys like Terrell Owens. And, I think Joe Staley is classes above them. So I think that it was a tough video to watch, but, classy by George Kittle nonetheless. Now, it was reported afterwards that Joe Staley had kind of alerted the team before the draft that he would be retiring due to health concerns. What does that say about Joe Staley, that he still kept the team in mind? It didn't, wait till after the draft to tell them?
I mean, that's how he's been his entire career. He's always been a team first guy. And I would expect that to continue even in retirement. He's talked about being excited about still being around the team. I would be shocked if Joe Staley didn't have some sort of role with the coaching staff going forward. But Joe Staley has always been a classy player. In every sense of the word, a true professional. And so it's not shocking to me at all that he kept the 49ers in the loop. And I'm sure that, he wanted to give himself a little bit of distance after the Super Bowl, see what was going on, maybe get checked out by doctors to see what this really was. And I'm sure as soon as he found out, he was on the phone with John, he was on the phone with Kyle, trying to figure out where to go. He's not the type of guy to leave somebody hanging. He's the type of guy to pick up his fallen brothers, in battle and drag them with him. So, always a leader, always a top-notch player, always team first, and it's no surprise that, he gave them the foresight and the ability to go out and get his replacement in Trent Williams.
Yeah, Matt Mayoko actually just wrote an article recently of NBC Sports Bay Area about how his career is defined by selfless move after selfless move, and it's kind of finalized by the ultimate selfless move of putting the team first, letting them know they could have drafted a guy like, Tristan Wirfs or done it, whatever they could to find his replacement, and not kind of left them high and dry. If, say, he retires Monday, the draft just passed, the chance to move people just passed. So I thought that was just, like you said, speaks volumes of who Joe Staley is as a person and as a player. Now, I saw some people tweeting that, Joe Staley is a great 49er, but he's
Mhm.
not necessarily in the highest class because he never got a ring. Do you think that affects how people will view him looking back?
I don't think so. Not at all. And that didn't get a ring thing is such a tired argument. Listen, there's plenty of people that don't get rings. That doesn't lessen their legacy. You're talking about the NFL, football, which is the ultimate team game. You're talking about 53 guys on a roster. This isn't, even something like the NBA where it's 5 people on the floor at the same time and one player, a dominant player can carry a team. Joe Staley's a left tackle, and he's been one of the best left tackles in the game. He was named to the NFL All Decade team. I don't know what else Joe could have done to make them win a Super Bowl. I mean, Joe Staley was not the reason that, the 49ers didn't win the Super Bowl in 2012 or this past season. That's just not the case. And, it's a good thing that Twitter isn't actually real life because if it was, I mean, just burn the whole thing down. Anybody who is trying to already lessen the legacy of Joe Staley should be ashamed of themselves because Joe Staley has been nothing but class for this organization, and he's going to go down as the best left tackle to ever play for the San Francisco 49ers, bar none. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and there's nothing that's going to cheapen his legacy. That man is he's done more for this franchise than they possibly could have hoped for when they drafted him at 28th overall.
Yeah, 100%. He will be the best left tackle, like you said, 49ers history. And John Lynch kind of addressed this a couple of weeks back, or a week ago, I should say. He did say that, they've been in contact with Joe. I have the quote right here, actually. We've kept in good contact with Joe. He's doing his typical routine down with his family in San Diego, working out. We're encouraged. We've heard nothing that would lead us to believe that Joe is not going to play. So we're encouraged with that. We'll see where that goes. I've seen people kind of questioning John Lynch's transparency, I guess, so to speak, and how much they should value what he says as far as truthfulness. Do you think that alters how he should be perceived, if whether he's telling the truth or not? Or do you think that that's just what a normal GM would say before the draft?
Well, two things. I don't think a normal GM would have said that. I think a normal GM would have avoided the question altogether. I think that, John essentially skirted around the truth. I'm sure Joe was doing things, physically or whatever to see what was going on as far as just his life going forward. It might not have been necessarily football related. But that being said, I mean, what is he supposed to do? It's draft time. And if you tip your hand, you lose your leverage. And this isn't about the players that are outgoing, even though Joe Staley is, a legend for the 49ers. This is about their prospects going forward. And they know that they need that replacement. And there's no way, had Joe Staley's retirement leaked out, that they would have gotten Trent Williams for a 5th in 2020 and a 3 in 2021. There's no way, because you would have given Daniel Snyder and the Redskins leverage that they did not have up until that point. If a team is desperate, then the person who has the commodity is going to make that person overpay, and by hiding that, I mean, even though it's a lie, technically, I mean, it is a lie, but, John Lynch doesn't owe the public every single inner working of the 49ers team. He's been transparent about everything since, before and since, and you can come out after and explain. And people who don't have understanding of how things work, I mean, there's nothing that you can say that's going to help that. But it's understandable why he wouldn't just come out and say it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you said, before the NFL draft, why would any organization kind of tip their hat one way or another? Even with, acquiring Trent Williams, that would have totally upped the cost. I just think that he shouldn't be expected to be 100% truthful or answer every single question. People have to remember that they are running an organization. These things have ripple effects in the entire NFL. If he were to come out and say, yeah, Joe Staley's probably not going to play next year, guys. Now, can we get Trent Williams for a 3rd and a 5th? Like, no, that's not going to happen. So right. I think people just need to have a little more realistic expectations of what to expect out of him. And I don't think that should alter anybody's, view or opinion of how he is and his truthfulness when it comes to the media. Now, Matt, his retirement, he would have had an $11.5 million cap hit for next year. And if they were to release them, he would have had, 11 million and 11.5 million in dead money. But all of that changes now. Since he did retire, they're only responsible for $500,000 bonuses for each of the next 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. is that kind of flexibility, does that speak to what Parag and what the entire 49ers organization, is that normal for an NFL team to be able to play with the numbers this much? Or are the 49ers kind of one class above the other teams when it comes to all of the number work that they're able to make happen?
I think Parag is really good at doing team friendly deals, and I think that this is just another example of that. I don't know exactly how NFL retirement stuff works and if this is a unique situation or if this is the norm, but I do know that somebody like Joe Staley wouldn't leave the 49ers on the hook for that money. You know, him retiring and freeing the cap space up, which is essentially going to pay Trent Williams' salary this year, is something that he did for the team. And I'm sure that he'll be taken care of on the back end when he takes his position with the front office or, with the team coaching or whatever it is that he decides to do. You know, there's going to be compensation for that, and he's going to be a lifelong 49er. And I just think that this team does do a lot of things well with the salary cap. So it can't be understated, what that means going forward.
Yeah, I agree. You see teams kind of like, the Los Angeles Rams, they just get completely tied up in their salary cap. They're not able to work the numbers. And I'm not too versed in how other teams kind of handle it, but it seems like the 49ers, no matter what the situation is, they seem to be able to come out unscathed or on top of the situation cap wise, no matter what it is. And you just gotta, from a fan standpoint, from viewing it from the outside in, you got to appreciate it because it allows them to do things like acquire Trent Williams, not be on the line for $11.5 million in dead money if Joe Staley were to retire. That's going to do it for us today, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez. You can follow me on Twitter at Zach Hernan. You can follow the 49ers Hive at 49ers Hive. Matt, got any final words?
You know what? Joe Staley will be missed, but he will always have a special place in the hearts of 49er fans everywhere. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Ataxis, ATAX1S, and keep enjoying 49er Hive content. Always coming at you.